The corporate ladder has become a bouncy castle. Amen. Here's the worst career advice I can give you. Go work at Microsoft so you can hide. Never document anything and work yourself into the ground. Make it your hobby, your special interest, your passion. All of your friends have nothing outside of work. And then it won't feel like work.
It doesn't work.
And nothing will feel like fun either.
Or you could work during the day and be yourself at night.
Hi.
Is the corporate ladder dead?
Well, ladders are not sentient beings, so I wouldn't say they can die.
They've not passed away
But
officially.
it could be shattered into a bunch of pieces. I don't know. I mean, there was definitely a time where you like, it was the millennial dream we were sold, right? You make good grades, and then you go to college, and then you get an internship, and then you get an entry-level job, and then you stay there for 40 years, and then you retire, and Social Security still exists, and you had a 401k this whole time.
Uh-oh.
Maybe a pension. Rip. But we don't really do that anymore.
You and I, are, I'm not going to brag, but a little bit young.
Brag?
Yeah.
A minor flex?
A little bit young to not be on the corporate ladder right now. Right? We kind of made weird moves.
Semi-retired.
That's not true.
If this is what retirement is like, then wow, what a bait and switch.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
Yes. But you made a choice early in your career, earlier than me, to be like, I'm going to go try and start a business instead.
Yeah, well, that was dumb.
Hey.
It wasn't dumb. I mean, you're right. I didn't know anyone when I was young that worked in tech or anything, and I job hopped a lot early in my career, and I remember getting shade from the real grown-ups that I knew.
Were you trying to get a better job? You wanted to be a manager?
Gosh, this is such a great question. I should really talk to Marge about it. But no, I wasn't trying to. It wasn't really to move up. Honestly, I just got kind of bored. And there were some just practical reasons that I moved around. But I do think that it's really beneficial for people that are earlier in their career to move around a lot. Spend a year at a bunch of different places, because you learn a lot faster. You can make more money much faster. You can get exposed to different types of businesses. I appreciated that I wasn't really pigeonholed into one industry or one type of company so early. I guess I was sort of pigeonholed into B2B SaaS, but it wasn't I do manufacturing only, or I don't know. There are plenty of people that are I work in healthcare.
Yeah.
Healthcare tech, whatever. That's great. I liked working at lots of different types of companies. But you started hella corporate.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I worked at GE, which is
the most corporate you can be.
the most corporate you can be.
That's corporate.
And I don't think that I had like real career goals. I just wanted to make more money.
Yes.
And that meant getting promoted.
Right.
And no shade to GE.
No, we love GE.
I love everyone that I work with there.
Proud to be one of America's 8 companies.
We get to work with many of the people that I used to work with at GE today in our new lives.
Yeah.
And, you know, unfortunately for that company, or fortunately for me,
or both.
Really, they're probably like, thank God she does not work here anymore. That was against our brand protocols. All of it. 100% of the time.
Huge brand risk. Big liability. Glad the trash took themselves out on that.
Rude.
I'm sorry.
Rude. How am I ever going to recover?
That was scathing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
But I know, I feel like we even talked about this on the podcast before, but we like, there was like a, you know, like you take like a little quiz about like,
oh yeah,
where you want to be in your life, what your values.
You know, I have to say that the career matching quiz is something that was featured heavily on 90s era cartoons about like, oh, at some point in your schooling you take a quiz and they'll tell you what job you're gonna have for the rest of your life. What a fucking lie. I would have loved some answers. I never got those.
No, the first year that anyway, one of the years that I was in college at one of the schools that I went to.
We both had multi-collegiate career paths.
I took a class that was like, what the hell should you do with your life?
Wow, what a helpful class.
Yeah.
What a helpful class.
I got credit from it.
If they're not going to teach us how to do taxes, at least they should teach us what we should do with our lives.
No, they shouldn't. Because you know what? It was like, you should be an artist. And like, literally, I could not be
Oh.
worse at anything. Also, I would make no money. Shout out to the artists out there. But like, good for you.
I was here to be financially independent.
You know, but like when I took that quiz at GE, I was like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Why am I like, I loved being in tech. I loved being in the tools. I was like managing a team, and my team was lovely, but I also had like 2 little kids and was like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I do. And you know who was the CMO at the time? Beth Comstock. And I don't know if you know her name.
No.
But before you were born, she actually was the keynote at Marketo Summit
Really?
in 2012.
Before I was born. Thank you. Okay, I was a semi-adult.
Okay, fine. It was a really long time ago. And I thought, like, she actually was the reason why I started to work at GE, because I didn't even know that they used Marketo. Also, I didn't know that they had an office in Cleveland, which was like an actual office that I went into. But then when I was like taking this quiz at GE, I was like, I don't want to be her. Like, I liked her and was inspired by her, but I didn't want to be the CMO. What am I doing?
You know, I agree with that. I met several CMOs early in my career, and just like executives in general, and they never seemed happy. It kind of seemed like you've reached the top. However, you seem so stressed.
Like, you're begrudgingly doing this job.
I think I can see your hair turning gray before my very eyes. Like, it's like before and after the presidency pictures of Obama. Like, I'm sorry. That sounds like it was really hard, man. Like, I don't know. I maybe need to tap out somewhere earlier than that. That's not for me.
Did you ever ask yourself if this is what you actually wanted to be doing?
I think I did realize pretty early that I did not want to be a CMO. And that's why I ended up going into MOPs. It's like, I don't like the traditional marketing path is not for me, but
yeah,
CMO definitely no. But I liked being in the tools. It was kind of unusual for me because my dad, who I love and is a wonderful man, when I graduated college and I was going to work for like a small B2B fintech startup, he is a financial advisor and works at a really big bank. And he bought me for my college graduation present a Mont Blanc pin, which was so sweet and like something that was very important to him in the job that he had. And I was like, wow, this was so nice. I'm so happy I have this. I was so thoughtful. And then quickly realized that I was going to be doing exactly 0 writing with a pen.
Do you still have this pen?
I do.
Is it engraved?
No, I don't think so.
I was supposed to get Mike a pen for his birthday.
You cannot have the pen that my father gifted me for my college graduation if that's what you're
like a hand-me-down / over. I just want to say I am in the market for a really.
Do you want my wedding dress too? Like, what?
No,
okay.
I don't need that.
I'm gonna keep it.
Okay.
You could go to the store.
Literally just said you don't use it.
I don't, but it's sentimental. My point is that in the time between when my dad built his career and when I started building my career, which there was not that much time in between, my dad is very young, everything changed. Like, it's just a different world.
Yeah.
A very different world.
That's why I have this idea that Mont Blanc and DocuSign.
This is a really good idea. You've told me this idea before. Mont Blanc sponsor us, DocuSign sponsor us.
That they should do a collaboration together where Mont Blanc has custom signatures that you can buy to use on DocuSign.
Yeah.
It's
people would eat that shit up.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, there was some free marketing.
Yeah. Go ahead. Take
Call
it.
us.
Just take it. I will be happy enough that someone just does it.
We actually don't have the spoons to spend on brokering this for you. I don't really have anything to add other than just this idea, but just
take
go.
business. Anyway.
Maybe we can have one for free.
So do you, I feel like we know a lot of people. Our network is very big.
Yeah.
Just because of the line of work that we're in.
Popular.
How many people... Catch me at karaoke. How many people are following corporate ladder? There's still some.
Yeah, for sure.
Are most?
Well, I think that there are plenty of people who got ejected from the corporate ladder in the last 3 years.
Yeah, layoffs.
They were climbing the ladder and then someone just tipped the ladder over.
Also, when you tip the ladder, you're not necessarily you know what? Let me just put it back up.
Yeah.
Get back out there.
This ladder, you guys. I was halfway up. I think I can make it back there. A lot of people were like, you see that ladder? Let's light it on fire. That's where a lot of our consultants came from. They were like, you know what? I thought about consulting and then I got laid off at my job and I was like, you know what? I am not putting my livelihood in the hands of some company who will just cut me loose in a second if they feel like it. No, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I do think that people I know, I shouldn't say that. I do, I'm not saying a lot of things. What I want to say is I'm not saying a lot of things right now. There's a couple of people I can think of specifically, and I need to make the stories fuzzier so they're not called out specifically. I think some people want to do it for money, which is obvious and a great reason to do that, especially when you're like already making a certain type of money. You're like, okay, well, like if I keep working, I'll just like exactly, like I'll keep doing this, or like and especially if like you get to a point and you're like, I'm bored here, I want to make the same amount of money or more. What next for me? Also, I do think, like, and where I was for sure younger in my career, there's, like, a little bit of pride and ego to it.
Yeah.
Which, again, is another, like, not necessarily a bad thing, but just, like, what pushes you to, like, keep trying so hard to do better and more.
Yeah. I think, like, different things are motivating to different people. I didn't feel so much like I need to, like, chase the next title necessarily. Or, like, oh, I can't wait till one day I can be a senior manager. I didn't care so much about that. I did care about making more money though.
Yeah.
And it's different for a lot of people. A lot of what draws people to the traditional corporate ladder is security, right? Right, exactly. I mean, for a long time, the corporate ladder was security, and I'll go here and I'll invest a lot of my time and I'll give a lot to this company and I'll have security. Like if I'm here for 20 years, what are they going to do? Just get rid of me? And it turns out
they will get rid of you after
absolutely
1 year, 2 years.
I think it's the people that were in it for the security that have sort of had the veil torn back.
The corporate ladder certainly is not loyalty to a specific company. Like that is long gone in my opinion.
Yeah. For some people it is. I mean, I have a very dear friend who worked at one company for like 18 years. 18 years ago, I was a literal child. I was just a baby.
But I guess, like, that's kind of the point, too, about, I mean, I don't know, maybe that person also, like, climbed the corporate ladder. I have some people that I've known for a long time that still, like, work at the first company that I work for. And I think they're just, like, work is not my life. And so...
they're just, like, chilling.
Yeah.
Like, there is something to be said for working somewhere for a long time and building up enough internal credibility that you could just kind of relax. You know, that's not true at every company. There are plenty of companies where building up internal credibility means you now get to do 3 people's jobs.
Yeah. But there are also some companies you can go to where, you know, I'm thinking of one person specifically moved to a bigger company from a smaller company. It was like, just looking forward to being just a number.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely had a time. I think it was after I had Chance, where I was like, you know, I would love to just go to like Microsoft and hide. I think I could just go like check some boxes.
Everyone we know that works at Microsoft,
they're working very hard.
Very hard workers.
Microsoft as an example. Just not literally Microsoft, but like maybe a division of Microsoft that's not the one you guys work in. It's a different
one you're thinking of?
Whatever that one is. If you work at Microsoft and you're like, well, I don't get to hide. I'm talking about a different division of Microsoft's a very big company, actually. I don't know if you knew that.
Anyway. So can we come to a conclusion? Is it dead? Maybe it's just like, you know what I think? Maybe it's like a blow-up ladder.
Yeah, like a blow-up ladder that's part of a bouncy castle, and then you climb up the ladder, and for a while you bounce around, and then some of you get yeeted down the slide at the end and crash and burn back to the bottom, and you can choose to go back.
And you know what? One other thing that I should have said already. So for a while, I was working at a company that was smaller. And people who wanted to make more money and wanted to get promoted were having a very hard time because there actually was not a career path within that company.
Right.
And, like, I wanted to stay there and other people wanted to stay there, but they're like, oh, like.
That is so true for MOPs. I mean, I've never worked at like a GE. I've never worked at a Microsoft. So again, once again, Microsoft people actually have no idea what it's like to work there. I've only worked at startups, exclusively startups. But at startups, it is uncommon to have a great MOPs career path. Most often you are MOPs. It is you.
Marketing Ops Analyst 1, and then next year you get to be Marketing Ops Analyst 2, and then those are
but
pay bands.
Even then, they're like,
no,
we can't actually promote you because we can't give you more responsibilities, and you most importantly cannot stop doing the responsibilities that you're doing today.
Right. Well, this company that I work for, where they were like, yeah, so there's not really ladders here. There's lattices. Like, that was like their way of being like, if you want to move up, like, you kind of have to move up and over. Like, your path might be like, you're in marketing, but now, like, try something in sales.
That's interesting. You know, I was actually talking to Tim about this recently because he works at a big bank. Am I allowed to say their name? I'm just going to not say their name. He works at a big bank.
A bank we love.
A big bank. Taylor Swift and Jennifer Garner also really love this bank. He works at a big bank, and they had an internal conference for his division recently. Like, he traveled to their home office to go to a conference for the analysts and
learn
scientists to talk to each other. And the way he was describing it, I was like, this was like what Marketo Summit was like back when it was Marketo Summit. But there are so many different divisions within the bank that are in the same job family, but in the different type. I have no idea how banks work. And they're all coming together. Like, they don't all know each other, but some of them have the same job. Like, that's exactly what it's like. And if you want to move up, very often you have to move to a different division. Like, oh, we don't have more scope for your role here in whatever card, but if you go to this other part of the bank, then they do have more scope for that role, and you'll have direct reports and whatever. That's insane to me, all within one company. Maybe that's what it's like at Microsoft. They work really hard there.
Nailed that. Absolutely nailed that. You know, I also don't really know how banks work. I asked Mike the other day.
Spoiler alert, the banks don't work anymore.
They're not.
Things are bad right now.
But I did ask Mike the other day, do all banks have a vault? Like, all of them? He says yes. I don't know if I believe it. He did work briefly in a branch. And so I was like, in Berea, Ohio, at the U.S. Bank, is there a vault where I could, in theory, store a lot of designer shoes?
You should not be asking this question. Okay. What you need is a safe deposit box. And we need to land this plane.
I need a room.
Okay.
He says yes. I don't believe it.
Right.
Define vault.
Here's what we've learned. At the bank, there's a corporate ladder.
I believe that.
And questionably a vault. And nowhere else, the corporate ladder has become a bouncy castle. Amen.
Amen.
Feeling seen? Us too. Follow us on Instagram at Pretty Funny Business. We've got chaotic career confessions, bonus clips, and spicy hot takes. Got a wild career twist? Slide into our DMs. We might just roast it on the next episode.
There are several things I think we can talk about.
Yeah.
So you mentioned how, you know, like, your dad bought you this beautiful pen.
Yes, you can't not have it.
And I hear that. And for a lot of people, I think even some of these like big companies that have been around for a long time, like GE and you know, Ford and GM and blah blah blah, that like there's these like long-term legacies that were built there for these people who are working for pensions, and they got, you know, they got a pen when they worked there for 40 years. But that's not like really the case anymore.
That's so true. This reminded me of when actually the longest job I've ever had in my life was when I worked retail at Aerie.
How long was that?
5 years.
Okay.
Just shy of 5 years. And it was just shy of 5 years because I was really trying to make it to 5 years, because at 5 years you got a Tiffany bracelet.
So dumb.
And to be clear, I was making $8 an hour. And I had 4 jobs. One of my jobs was paying me $25 an hour, but I was holding on to this $8 an hour job at Aerie because I really wanted my bracelet. And I told this to somebody, and he was like,
just buy yourself.
Look at me. He said, how many hours a week are you working? And I was like, 10. He was like, in however many months, you will have made enough money working those hours at your other job to buy your own bracelet.
Whichever one you want.
Any of them. Yeah. I did not buy the bracelet is the problem. I needed them to give me the bracelet. But anyway, I do think that is how job hopping works. You know? Like,
are we talking about job hopping?
Yeah. If you stay at one company for a long time, making $8 an hour, you know, they're never going to give you that much of a pay raise year over year. You're going to make less money.
Right.
You'll get your bracelet or whatever other little
Yes.
perks they have along the way. You will have, in theory, security. You will have built up a lot of credibility. I mean, I did really love that job, and I did have a lot of credibility. It was a really small store. I knew everyone there. I'd been through like 3 store managers. I'd worked there since I was 16 years old, and it was nice. I did really like all of those things. Now, it was not what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
No.
And honestly, it was a little bit what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I really liked it. I like to talk. What can I say? But once I started hopping around a little bit more and focusing the types of jobs I was taking on the things that I actually wanted to do, I started working remote when I was still in high school and college for like companies that I'd done internships with in different cities. And that was much more beneficial. And I ended up making way more money. And I had a much faster career path once I got out.
I think people who are like stuck in a career, like feeling maybe feeling stuck or don't even really know that they're stuck and they're just kind of like hoping that things get better, don't realize like the significant amount of money that you can make because you've been making 2% or 5% or 3% year over year.
Yeah, you're gonna get like a 2 to 5, maybe like a 7% raise year over year unless you get promoted. If you are moving to a different job, like you're probably gonna get like a 20 to 30%.
I made $25,000 more.
Yeah,
per year when I moved jobs.
Yeah,
and then like the next time I moved jobs, another $30,000 more. Like, if you want to make significantly more money,
you got to go somewhere else, man.
You should leave.
You should leave. And I do think that it is valuable experience to work at a lot of different places.
Totally.
If you work at one place for a long time, you're going very deep on that company and what they do and how they do things. And they might not be doing everything right.
You know, frankly, you should be climbing the corporate ladder if you're going to be doing that.
Yeah.
One of those companies.
You become very irreplaceable. You know so much. Don't document anything so that they can't fire you. That's bad advice. Don't do that. We have a new segment called The Worst Career Advice I Could Possibly Give You. Go hide at Microsoft and never document anything. When you work at one place for a long time, I think you do get like a sense of pride for it. Like, I was very proud that I worked at Aerie for 4.5 years.
You should be embarrassed.
No, I wasn't embarrassed at all. I was super proud.
You were like, I'm the senior one here.
Yeah,
little
I'm
minions.
20 years old.
I will teach you what to do. I make way more money than you do.
That's how I met Kat. I trained her.
You trained her? I didn't know that.
Yeah. On her first day, I trained her.
That's so funny. Kat is Sydney's best friend.
Kat is my best friend, yeah. She's still my best friend, but we met at Aerie.
Mm-hmm.
She worked there way longer than I did. I love you, Kat.
She's like, I need my second bracelet.
Yeah, okay. I think there's a difference in the pride that we feel for our jobs having our own company. And I think that's why a lot of people end up going out on their own. Like, I certainly feel, even though this is not the lifestyle business of all fun and games that we thought we were doing, we were working incredibly hard and I'm so tired and very stressed. It feels much more worthwhile when it's building a company that's ours. You know, like I would hate to be killing myself for some white dude's company.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Present company not excluded.
If you are a white dude in the room with us right now, you don't count.
And if you're a white dude that works at Microsoft, I'm so sorry.
Same. I do like, you know, like people are like, oh, like, you know, I mean, I won't belabor the topic of work-life balance, but I do think like when you are in a role where you work for yourself that you really do love, that there's not, as with anything, like there's not really a balance there, because you just have to like do what's in front of you. That's at least how I feel, like doing what's in front of me. And also I really like what we're building and I really like what we do. So it's not really like, sounds so stupid and cliche, but it's like not really work for me to like look up something on a Saturday, you know, real quick, just because like my brain needs to settle or whatever. I also think that like what we do and how we're building our company is like a special interest a little bit, for better or for worse. And so it's like, you know, it's like, it literally is like, I hate to say that it's like a hobby company, but it is sort of, because it's like, it's all I
it's like work and your hobby. Friends.
Right.
What else am I gonna do? This is it for me.
It's all I've ever known.
All my eggs are in this basket. I have no other interest.
One time I tried to buy an old building, and guess what? That didn't work out for me. I just ended up building this company. I just ended up starting a podcast instead. So,
oopsie.
Yep. Anyway, so I think it's okay if like you feel like, I mean, obviously if your life's feeling out of balance, then like you should change something. Yeah. But also if you're like, actually, I do lean into work a little bit more and I like it.
Yeah.
That's okay too.
Yeah. It's fine. I do see plenty of people really killing themselves for companies that are not theirs and for jobs that they are underappreciated for. And that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
You wanted to have work-life balance? What if you had just nothing?
Or you could work during the day and be yourself at night.
You are also much better at, I don't even want to call it multitasking because I don't think that's what it is, but I cannot have one foot in work and one foot with my kids. I cannot do it. I'm doing very poorly at both things. I need to be like sitting at my desk on big internet and working, or I need to be like not. And I'm just like with my family or doing whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, no, I'm like taking a call at the playground while
I cannot
spaghetti from my car.
No. It's like, I'm so glad that works for you. That is not how everyone
not work for me. For the record, it just is what it is. Today's episode is brought to you by marketingops.com, a diverse community for thousands of experts for anyone who's ever screamed at a dashboard. If you're in RevOps, MOPs, or just the unofficial fixer of all things messy, you'll find templates, real advice, and zero pressure. Visit marketingops.com and maybe never build a dashboard from scratch again. New members can get 10% off their paid membership by using our code PFB10. Okay. Mini masterclass
in my master's jacket. Let's do it.
How to survive career
working
chaos.
At Microsoft.
AKA career chaos.
Career chaos.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to lay down a topic.
All right.
You're going to ref.
All right. Here we go.
I'm going to
PFB in the streets. PFB in the streets, everybody.
How to future-proof your career when the future keeps shifting.
Be a Nepo baby.
Obviously.
Trust fund. Rich husband. Next question. Okay. Future-proof your career. I mean, what I have told people many times is before you go into something risky like freelancing or in the year of our Lord 2025 existence, you should have a pile of fuck you money that is separate from your normal savings that whoever the fuck told you how much money you're supposed to have in savings. Pile of fuck you money is so if your job is really bad or if you have a really shitty client, that you don't have to stay in that shitty situation to pay your mortgage. You can say, fuck you, I'm out of here.
Bye.
Bye. If you don't have a pile of fuck you money, then I would not recommend that.
Yeah. I would also say like future-proofing your career. Like, number one, obviously, technology is shifting. Do not any longer, if this is you out there, attach yourself to one piece of software.
Oh, yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. I say this with all the hypocrisy in the world as someone who knows Marketo and only Marketo. But if you are someone who knows Marketo and only Marketo, you got to diversify, babe.
Yeah.
Gone are the days that like I'm a Marketo admin is a viable career path.
Right. And you need like the technology that it's being created is being created so quickly right now that it's not even, no one's going to be looking for someone who has 3 to 5 years experience in anything anymore. You just need to know how to figure it out and know what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing for most of us that know Marketo, only Marketo, is it's not like you went to school for this. Like you at one point in your career had to figure it out. Like that bone is still in your body. You may have just felt a little too good for it for a while. I say this once again with all the hypocrisy in the world and as someone who certainly feels too good for it. You should go learn something else.
Also learn something else. They're not saying like...
Also, you can be too good for it and... just like sign up for HubSpot.
Use Trad. Like go to learn Salesforce.
Salesforce
is a huge
Pardot. I'm sorry. Just
What?
learn a little Pardot.
Yeah,
Just
because
learn a little
people
Pardot.
who use Pardot don't even know they use it. They just still call it Salesforce. Like it's in there. It's fine.
Yeah.
Also, third thing, which is not a secret at all, is use your network. It is not a crutch. It is a strategy to
talk to someone about this recently. Wasn't it a random influencer on Instagram?
Yes, it was. Maybe that it will be in segment 3. That will be for the Patreon.
That's for the Patreon.
That is definitely for the Patreon because it is, as much as this is not safe for work, it is slightly more so, but in a good way,
Or less
so. It's just different. Anyway,
less safe.
All right, number 2, topic of the masterclass.
Okay.
Building a personal brand without sounding like a robot.
This is really easy. Just fucking be yourself. I don't know. I mean, the times that I have tried to be a thought leader and felt inauthentic were when I was representing someone else's brand.
Also, the general public, of which I am a member, are not coming up with new ideas all the time.
No.
We just can't possibly.
No.
Right? So,
no.
like, again, just
lower your standards for yourself and just be yourself.
And also, like, everybody literally has different opinions and a different voice. And so if you tell your story and you're feeling like this story or this topic has already been talked about, like, okay, but like you haven't done it yet.
Right.
So it's fine. Just you can also say that.
Yeah. Now, that said, don't let ChatGPT write your content for you. You can let ChatGPT help you organize your original human brain thoughts into something cohesive, but then make sure you read it all the way through with your human eyeballs and your human brain and that it sounds like you.
Make your edits.
Yeah.
But if you just raw dog
ChatGPT, write me a LinkedIn post,
we're going to know.
Please don't do that.
No
know. One wants to read that.
And we're all going to know.
You know what I've been talking to a lot of people about lately?
Rocket emojis.
Speaking of depressing things, have you heard of the dead internet theory?
Yes, where it's not actually anyone. They're just
there's no one. It's like bots talking to bots. It's just like AI generated content being trained on AI generated content, and it's just getting like progressively worse over time. That's the despair.
You know what?
Stock market's in free fall. The robots are doing everything. Like, what are we supposed to do?
It's how we make our money right now. So, do you want to eat or no? It's fine. Okay, networking for real people, aka not the cringy LinkedIn way. Yeah, like don't send me a LinkedIn connection and then 3 seconds later be like, hey, do you want to buy a list of Tableau users?
You know what we haven't talked about in too long? That guy that made me have a phone call with him because I connected with him on LinkedIn.
That's the way to not do it.
That's the way to not do it. I was 23 years old. I was trying to do networking, which meant I was just connecting with people on LinkedIn, add. And some dude who was old enough to be my father DM'd me and was like, why did you connect with me? Do I know you? And I was like, I just am networking, LOL. And he was like, well, I don't connect with people I don't know, but I would be willing to accept your request if you had a phone call with me.
Listen, for as much as you were doing this poorly, he also had it totally wrong.
What he should have done is simply
said nothing.
Deleted the request. Just delete it.
Why did you have the call?
Because, Lauren, I'm a pathological people pleaser. What do you think I was going to do? Be like, no. No, thank you.
Yes.
No, I said, absolutely. When are you free? Here's my number.
How has that helped your career path?
I sat in the car outside my office before I drove home for the day and said, hello, sir. My name is...
That is so embarrassing.
It was so embarrassing. It was horrifying end to end. You know how valuable that connection has been to me? Do you know how much it's furthered my career? None. That guy was a self-important douche waffle.
Can I tell you, it probably helped his career?
Probably. It definitely made him feel good that day.
Okay, how would you network?
How would I know?
If you were like somebody who's like, oh, I don't have a network,
Just go to stuff and talk to people.
you have to.
You just
That's
have
what
to
it
go to
is.
stuff and talk to people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And you want to know, if you're an introvert like me and you chronically panic in the presence of other humans, find a friend to go with.
Yeah, but don't just stand in the corner and talk to your friend.
Right. No.
Okay,
It has to be an extroverted friend.
Actually, the best networking advice I got from another guy who was also kind of a douche waffle, but he did give me this advice, was when you are networking or like trying to connect with someone, try to figure out what you can do for them, and then they will reciprocate. But like, how can you add value for them? And when you're really young and you have nothing to add, then it can be hard.
Well, and you know what? Truthfully, networking in some ways, like, it's a time investment. Like, you're like planting seeds that are not going to blossom for years. And you have to be okay with that. It is not going to turn into a job offer tomorrow. No. It's going to be like, oh my gosh, there was this random thing that happened. And
yeah, I thought of that one person I met that one time with that thing. Yeah. That's just how it is, baby.
Sorry about that.
You just have to be nice, be yourself, and get out there.
And don't take revenge.
No revenge, and don't be a leech. Don't be just like asking for shit all the time. Like go to these things and be like, hello, do you have a job for me? Like, that's not networking, that's panhandling.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
All right, number 4. Why is linear growth overrated, and what should people aim for instead?
Linear growth is overrated because it's inaccurate. I don't know anyone who's had a completely linear career trajectory. It is an unattainable standard to hold yourself to. There are going to be times that are good, and there are going to be times that are less good.
I can't even think of the word that I want to say about it, but it actually, maybe like it's actually a hindrance to be in a linear growth path.
Right.
You know, like you are learning very little at that point.
Yeah.
That's when
you go work at Microsoft for 40 years.
What to aim for instead? Follow your heart.
You know? Follow your heart. Maybe you'll win the lottery.
No, do not aim for winning the lottery. Just say yes when you want to say yes.
Yeah.
And if something looks right, then do that.
You gotta not take career moves because you feel like you're supposed to.
Big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta do it if it actually feels authentic and like the right move for you. And it's hard to know.
Yeah.
When you have a good network, hopefully you have mentors and people you can ask for advice that are further along in their career than you. I also think you should not ask just one person for advice. You should always ask multiple people that have done different things and get different opinions, and then figure out of that montage what felt most right for you.
All right, number 5, signs it's time to quit, pivot, or level up. I actually, based on what you just said about making those decisions, it's also okay to change your mind again.
Totally.
Right? Like, oh, shoot, I just made a decision. Like, oh, I feel like it's a bad one. Like, okay, so just do it again.
Do something else. Yeah. It's not like a life sentence.
There's not like a time limit. Like, you are at a job for, okay, sorry to interrupt myself, but we just had a situation where we had a consultant leave because they wanted to go back into in-house.
Yep.
And they came back after a seriously shitty situation.
Yeah.
With
they were gone for 2 months.
4 to 8 weeks. Yeah. Yes. And they were like, you know what?
That was bad. Actually, consulting was much better. Yeah. Can I come back?
And they wanted out of consulting. They wanted
they wanted the stability of being in-house.
Yeah. And then they were like, oh, no.
Oh, no. Actually, this is the bad place. I would like to be out of here.
Yeah. And it wasn't corporate in general. It literally was that was just not a good situation. No. But if you find yourself somewhere you don't want to be, you'll know. So signs it's time to quit. If your boss is making comments about
if you
going to war for a SaaS company, that's problematic. You should leave.
You need to get out of there.
Actually, I feel like this person should have quit sooner.
Yes. They waited way too long.
Pivot.
That was more than a pivot. That was like a moonwalk the fuck out of here.
Let's Men in Black erase that from our memory.
I actually told them that. I was like, you don't like, you don't need to include this on your LinkedIn at all. You can just pretend this never happened. Emmy Collective all the way through. No big deal.
For sure. For sure.
Okay, but how do you know it's time to quit? I see a lot of people get very hung up on being stressed about making the right decision, the wrong decision.
Oh,
You
go
should
for it.
feel a little bit of freedom to take a risk, make a mistake. Always have your pile of fuck you money so that you can
You're
afford
good.
to take a risk and
Yeah.
make a mistake.
Also, like, if you're seeing red flags, like if you're feeling like you're in an abusive relationship with your company,
Uh-huh.
you might need a friend to tell you. But if your friends are telling you, like, this is obviously not good for you, like, you should consider.
If you're having nightmares about work,
If you have really bad Sunday scaries, we all have Sunday scaries, but if you have
but
like
if you have
really bad
Sunday
ones,
scaries, talk to your therapist.
if you're having physical health issues,
if your work
Stress?
is causing physical health issues, if you find that you no longer have time to spend doing the things that you enjoy, if you feel that you cannot be successful in your job unless you work nights and weekends,
yes, and not by choice,
and not by choice.
Like, there's remote life has made,
Sure, we're not talking about a flexible work schedule. We're talking about you're working 100 hours a week,
and you don't want to be.
and it's not your company.
Make a change.
Make a change. Get out of there.
If you're
Be
working
free.
at Microsoft, you should leave. No, just kidding.
Microsoft is a really wonderful company to work for. It is a stimulating and challenging environment, and how dare you suggest otherwise?
No one take any of this out of context, please. Thank you.
Microsoft, we love you. I'm so sorry. I am more of an Apple girly, but Lauren's a PC.
You're oversharing. All right, I have a hot take.
Tell me.
It's not super hot. It's just
a warm take.
facts that we all know, but we don't actually follow.
Drop it.
Which is, you are in control of your career. Like,
Manifest your own destiny.
you're the one making these decisions.
That's so true.
Your boss is not in control of your career. They're in control of their own career.
That's right.
So, like, if you don't like your work schedule, then change it. And if you think you're working too much, then stop. Just stop doing that. It's not that, I mean, It's hard. It is privilege, I get, for me to say that, for sure. But if you're in the mindset of, like, should I, shouldn't I? It's probably already over. Like, maybe you don't know what you want to do next, but, like, if you're debating,
it is never cheating on your work marriage to take an interview.
Never.
You should always say yes to an interview.
Well,
always.
Yeah, you said yes to that man who connected with you on LinkedIn.
That wasn't an interview. That was an interrogation. There's a difference. You always say yes to a job interview for a job.
That you, like, maybe might want to take one day.
If you have 5% curiosity about the role, take the interview.
Yeah.
It is good interview practice.
Like, if someone came to Sydney right now and was like, do you want to interview for a manager role at Aerie?
Okay.
She might say yes.
I actually have had dreams of just, like, literal dreams while I'm sleeping, not, like, aspirations. Of, like, what if I just what if I just, like, worked part-time in retail just for a little bit? But then I'm always like, but I don't want to work at night or on the weekends or holidays, and that is mostly when they do in retail.
For sure, that is retail.
But
anyway,
my best advice is to always take an interview. You don't have to be, like, always actively applying for jobs, always actively pursuing everything. I'm not saying you need to be 1 foot out of the door. I do think there's value in being committed to the work that you have, but your company will drop you in a second, and you should not feel guilty about
and also
knowing what's out there.
Interviewing is a great way to network. Holy cow, right? Like, you're literally telling everyone all of your perfect skill sets while they are looking to hire that person. You don't think that they're going to think of you again later if there's, like, a good fit? They will.
Yeah. Oh, you said network. I thought you said not work. I thought you meant, like, all that time that you spent interviewing during the day. It was like, wow, you feel like you're working too much? Let me give you a project that you need to do during business hours.
This is because our parties last year were called networking events, and apparently the accent that I carry.
Network.
I almost just replaced every vowel in the alphabet
Good luck out there, little podcast.